Hi there and welcome to the beginning of our course, Chapter 1. Today we're going to look at specifically theory and how it relates to human development. The periods of development are prenatal development, which takes place from conception to birth, infancy and toddlerhood, which is from birth to 2 years of age, early childhood from 2 to 6, middle childhood from 6 through puberty, roughly about 12 years of age, 11 or 12, adolescence from the onset of puberty to age 18, emerging adulthood from 18 to 25 years of age, early adulthood from 25 to about 40 or 45, middle adulthood from 45 to 65 or 40 to 60, and then late adulthood is any age after 65. So just to kind of get started with some historical theories of development, and there are a bunch of them, so hang with me. The first one that we have is preformationalism. This is this belief that we were really were tiny humans in the sperm and the egg, and that implanted sperm containing that human then grows in size until birth. And so this assumes that infants are born with all the capabilities and skills and talents intact. They're already there before conception even happens. And then environment plays no role in development. Everything is biological. The next one that we have was actually founded by John Locke, and that is tabula rasa. And this is the idea that the child's mind is completely shaped by the environment and the things that are around them. He believed that our early experiences were incredibly foundational and important. And then Jean-Jacques Rousseau, he believed that development occurs on a biological timetable, that it's very much predictable, and that children should be allowed to develop naturally because it was already there. It's already pretty much set for everybody what that timetable would look like. The next one is Arnold Gesell, and that is the maturation theory. And he believed that development was actually impacted and activated by our genes, our genetic makeup, and that development occurred in fixed sequences. And some of you may be familiar with Freud and his psychosexual theory. But really his whole premise was that we have to learn to transform our biological instincts into socially acceptable behaviors. He also, like John Locke, believed that early experiences were very important. All right, so Erik Erikson is another theorist, and he believed that we have 8 different psychosocial stages. And that these stages actually had to be successfully mastered before moving on to the next one. And I won't go through each of these, but it is really important to recognize that that some of us don't move through these as in healthy patterns and in healthy ways. And so he also posited that, when we don't successfully master it, we can go back later on and successfully master that with the help of therapies and interventions and specific work targeting that crisis that was happening at that time. We also have the social learning theory, which is this premise that we learn through observation and imitation. So we learn from the people that are around us. We learn from our environment. We learn from our society and our culture. And this is evidence. You'll find this in the actual, if you want to click this link on the Bobo doll video. This is a perfect example of, again, how children engage with materials based on the things that they've seen in more competent peers, their adults in their life. The next one is another premise of that is, again, this reciprocal determinism, and that we influence our environment, and our environment also influences us. The next one is Piaget's cognitive theory. He believed that children of different ages interpret the world differently, and that changes were actually caused by maturation, not just training. So we couldn't just train a child to master certain skills, that they really needed to be developmentally ready for those skills based on where they were at developmentally. The next one is Vygotsky's sociocultural theory, and this is actually my favorite. It is one of the few theories that takes into account our culture. Vygotsky believed that our culture and social interactions influence our cognitive or brain development, and he believed that we can increase performance with proper guidance. So here we have just a little table of those 4 stages of Piaget's cognitive development theory. Again, this will be provided. You can take a closer look at this, but some of the main tenets, especially if we think about the infants, if we think about sensory motor, what are children doing when they are first, entering the world and engaging in the world? They're using their senses, right? If you think of a young infant, when they grab a toy, what's the first thing that they usually do with that toy? They put it in their mouth. They're using their senses to figure out and understand the world in which they live. All right, so the next one we have is information processing theory. This is the belief that cognitive development is continuous, that we're born with the ability to notice, stimuli, store, and retrieve information, and that brain maturation experiences develop our information processing system. The next one is Bronfenbrenner's ecological systems theory. And he believed, I have a great visual for this in our PowerPoint, but that individuals function and are impacted by the systems or the environment and the stimuli that is all around us. So, for example, we have a microsystem that would be like the center, the nucleus, if you're my bio friends, the center of like a big circle. Those are the immediate settings, the immediate people that we have access to and that are influencing us, right? Our families, our close friends. The next one would be our mesosystem, which is organizational structures. So, our schools, those is our places of worship, things that might impact our microsystem. And it goes out from there, right? Our exosystem is our community, the history, the economy. Macrosystem is, again, this influence of culture, and then chronosystem is that influence of time. And so you can also see with Bronfenbrenner that there's some parallel there between him and Vygotsky's theory, in that there is this accounting of culture and community and how that impacts us. And this is that visual that I wanted to show you. Now, we just went through a bunch of different theories, and I'm not here to tell you that any one of them is the quote unquote right theory. All of them have really important premises, but all of them are not, any one of them in their entirety is just the perfect theory. All of them have different influences in our field and over development, but it's important to recognize that they also have flaws. And so as you are moving through the content this week and thinking about these theories, think about how you have been influenced. Has it been mostly your environment? Has it been your biology? Do you see traits in yourself that you observe in other family members? It really is this kind of combination of both our environment and, again, our biology. So, all right, I look forward to seeing you in chapter 2.